Want to know more about this unusual historic diesel? Join me as I take a look at the model and explore the history of the prototype. Hi, I'm Dan Cortopassi. Today I'm reviewing an HO scale GP40P-2 locomotive from Athearn Genesis. My model is detailed and decorated for Southern Pacific in the scarlet and gray 1990s era speed lettering scheme. Athearn offers this model in two versions. The MSRP for the DCC Ready version is $254.99. The MSRP for the version with DCC and Tsunami 2 sound is $354.99. I got my sound-equipped model for $274.99 from Lombard Hobbies. We'll start the model at 100 possible points. The model comes in a sturdy cardboard box with foam lining. Inside the box is some literature. There are a couple of sheets with exploded view drawings and parts lists. And there's also an operator's manual with explanations of how the DCC function keys are set up, lubrication instructions, and other information. A plastic cradle protects the model. Foam inserts protect the handrails. This is a good box that should protect the model for storage and transport. Southern Pacific ordered 3 GP40P-2 units for use in commute service on the San Francisco Peninsula. These locomotives were essentially GP40-2s on extended frames with longer car bodies that originally held steam generator equipment. In those days, the commute cars still had steam heat. SP took delivery in late 1974, and the units were set up by the Rock Island in Blue Island, Illinois. They didn't actually start hauling commute trains until mid-1975. The 3 units were numbered 3197 to 3199. 3197 was one of 3 locomotives in the SP system to wear a special Bicentennial scheme. 3198 and 3199 were delivered in standard scarlet and gray. These were the only GP40P-2s ever built, though Central of New Jersey owned some similar GP40P locomotives built in 1968. Though the SP units were sometimes used in freight service on weekends, all 3 units were permanently reassigned to freight service in 1985 after Caltrain took over the SP commute run and got new equipment. All 3 lost their steam generator equipment around the same time and had their split fuel and water tanks replaced with a single larger fuel tank. They were renumbered 7600 to 7602 in 1986. 7600 was the only one of the 3 to be repainted in the SP speed lettering scheme. All 3 units survived past the UP merger in 1996. 7600 was retired by UP in 2002 and later became Indiana Harbor Belt 4010. I found some photos online of 7600, and as far as I can tell, the model is very accurate. Photos show that the unit lost its oscillating and emergency light in the front sometime between 1987 and 1989. The unit gained a roof beacon around the same time. These units never had extra lights in the rear, just a standard dual-beam headlight. By 1994, the unit had ditch lights and was in the speed lettering scheme. Sometime later in 1994, the unit lost its beacon and gained SP Power by the Mile decals on the doors below the cab. The model has the beacon and lacks the Power by the Mile markings, so it best represents the engine as it appeared in the early 1990s. A photo from 2002 shows the unit still in speed lettering paint with the same number, though by then UP had moved the front headlight up to the cab and blanked over the location in the nose. I found some photos from 2003 with the unit in IHB colors. By then the nose light location had been removed completely and the front looked like a standard EMD short hood. The paint on the model is opaque and thin enough not to obscure detail. The markings are crisp. Small stencils are legible, though it may take magnification to see them. The handrails are made of flexible plastic that should stand up to moderate handling. Most of the stanchions are straight. The cab sides have most of the detail you'd expect to see, including photo-etched sunshades. As with many Athearn diesels, the cab windows are positionable, though it can be difficult to grab them. It's hard to see, but the cab has a full interior. Lower down, the trucks have separate brake lines and the left front truck has a speed recorder cable. In front, the model has separately applied windshield wipers. The number boards are done with the numbers behind glazing and look really good. As is appropriate for the era, the class light locations are blanked out. The pilot has an uncoupling lever, hoses, and a plow. The model has separately applied grab irons throughout. The rear pilot has most of the same details as the front, though instead of a plow there's a box beam along the bottom. Up top, the cab has a nicely rendered beacon, SP-style bell, and AC unit. The antenna stand with whip antenna base looks really good. A horn casting is mounted toward the rear, as was correct for this unit in the 1990s. The fans have see-through photo-etched grills and separate blade detail inside. I like the blanked out covers for the removed steam generator equipment on the rear of the long hood. Underneath, the model has enough plumbing detail under the sill to look good when on the rails. All of the axles are powered and all the wheels pick up current. The model has McHenry plastic knuckle couplers on both ends. Looking for a match on the horizontal center line, the front coupler is high, so I'm taking 5 points. The rear coupler is close enough to call it good. All the wheels are in gauge according to the NMRA standards gauge. There's no significant body wobble. The model weighs 14 ounces even. Drawbar pull peaked at 2.8 ounces on my force gauge. Comparing the model to other 4-axle diesels I've reviewed recently, the Caltrain's GP30 topped out at 4.2 ounces and the Athearn Genesis FP7A unit pulled 4.7. I'm testing the model on DCC. I haven't changed any of the factory decoder settings. F8 toggles the sound. F0 turns on the headlight, which is directional. The front headlight comes on when the engine is set to move forward, and the rear headlight comes on in reverse. F6 turns on the beacon. F5 turns on the ditch lights, which are also directional and only stay on when the engine is set to move forward. The ditch lights are not programmed to flash when the horn sounds. F24 turns on the number boards. The flashing effect is a video artifact, not something that's actually visible when looking at the engine in person. It's nice to see Athearn finally lighting up the number boards on its Genesis models. F1 rings the bell. F2 sounds the horn. F4 turns on the dynamic brake sounds. F11 is the independent brake. This makes a noise but doesn't stop the locomotive. The manual mentions that braking is not enabled by default and can be changed with CV programming. The locomotive has no issues on Kato 550mm curves, which are equivalent to a 21 5/8 inch radius. With the sound off, the driveline is quiet. The operation of the engine seems a little stiff, for lack of a better term. Tweaking the motor control CVs in the decoder might help to smooth it out. To take the shell off, I have to remove the couplers. As with a lot of Athearn models, the dynamic brake hatch is removable. Although mine's a little sticky and I'm a little hesitant to take it off completely, but you don't want to lift the model by this area. With the couplers out, the shell will lift off the chassis. It's a little bit stiff, but it will. Be careful because of all these wires up here. So the decoder's up here, and then the speakers are back here. So I had a model of 3197 from an older production run, and it's interesting that they changed the speaker from a single speaker to 2 smaller sugar cube style speakers in the new model. If you were curious about the differences between the DCC Ready version versus the sound equipped version, other than the decoder obviously, the DCC Ready version has just a weight back here instead of speakers. This is my model of 3199, also from an older production run. Because it's my preference, I'm going to switch over to KD 158 scale couplers. The KDs fit right into the Athearn boxes. I like to check to make sure that they swing freely back and forth before I install them. The front coupler is especially hard to get back in without having everything fall apart, so sometimes it helps to tack glue them with some liquid styrene cement. I lucked out and both couplers ended up at the right height after I changed them. So this is the only situation I can think of where I have a model of the same engine from 2 different eras. I have a model of 3197 and now 7600. So 3197 was its 1970s appearance, and 7600 is in the speed lettering as its 1990s appearance. So that's kind of interesting. I could actually MU this engine with itself, I guess, if I wanted to. At some point, I may do that just for fun. I think this one is pretty cool because it's in the 90s scheme and basically functions as a speed lettered, SP GP40-2 in terms of like operation, which is good because I could use a few more 4-axle engines. I have some that I still need to finish, but this will help with that. I wasn't actually planning to buy one of these, and I actually recently sold one. I had a model of 7601 from an older production run, but that was in the Prime for Grime series, and I kind of stared at it for a long time and then concluded that the gray that they used on that thing was just too light for an engine from the 90s. Maybe if you were using it for like, an engine from the mid-2000s with a UP patch on it or something, it would have been okay, but I didn't like it for, looking correct for the 90s, and I didn't want to repaint the whole thing. Had a couple other cosmetic issues too, so I ended up selling that one off. And I had no intention of replacing it, but then I saw Athearn was coming out with these, and I saw the 7600 and the speed lettering scheme, and I was like, that's pretty cool, so I think I'll get one. I also wasn't intending to buy one with sound, but that was the only way I could find it. I couldn't find the sound ready, or the DCC ready version. So I now have one with a Tsunami in it, which I will probably replace with a Loc-Sound at some point. But I'm happy to have it for my roster, and I think it's a pretty cool model. Let's see what we've got. The front coupler was high, so I took 5 points in the standards and operation category. That leaves us with 95 out of 100 possible points, which earns an A. This is a nice model, and it's earned a green signal. I think Athearn did a really nice job on this model. If you're looking to add one of these unique locomotives to your HO scale roster, then I think you might like it. If you like this video, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching.